back, first timers. But if you're new here, I'm David, and this is Terry.
We're the first timers. We're trying things for the first time, and you can too.
In today's episode, we're going to show you a couple quick and easy barbecue recipes for the summer or for Father's Day that's just right around the corner. So if you want to cook for your dad and you don't have much smoking experience, this is probably going to be a really easy recipe for you. Not only are we going to do smoked tri-tip, Terry's also going to show you a couple other recipes.
We're going to do a pasta salad and cauliflower mac and cheese.
Growing up in California, tri-tip was a staple. It was everywhere. I mean, you can get tri-tip sandwiches at the gas station, pretty much everywhere.
Yeah.
As I moved around the country, I saw that tri-tip really wasn't available in most other places. In the last couple of years, I have seen it pop up at grocery stores here and there, so I do think there's growing popularity. If you don't know what tri-tip is, it's a triangular cut beef roast that comes from the bottom sirloin of the cow. It is pretty lean and it cooks very quickly, which comes with its pros and cons because you can overcook it pretty quickly. However, it's done really fast.
Not like the brisket that takes days.
Yes, yeah. I mean, typical brisket between 12 and 18 hours with the rest time. This pretty much done in about 2.5 hours. Typically when I do this, I like to dry brine it in the fridge overnight, but it's not required. I would just say, once you get the seasoning on, let it sit for at least an hour or so, just to kind of really lock in those flavors. I've done this a lot of times, so we're actually going to turn it over to Terry and let her do the whole process as I walk her through it. First step is, if you have a boning knife, that's going to be probably the one that works the best, but we don't, so she's just going to use a
chef's knife.
So I like to just trim off all the silver skin and any excess fat. Like I said, it's a pretty lean cut of meat, but I still like to take off any of that weird hard fat that's on there. But yeah, trim off the silver skin and some of that excess fat. All right, not bad for a first timer.
Thanks.
So now I like to use olive oil as a binder. So I coat both sides with the olive oil. I use extra virgin olive oil as the binder, but you can use things. Some people use mustard, some people use hot sauce. Really, you can use whatever you'd like, but I like olive oil because we've trimmed off a lot of that excess fat.
I'm assuming next step is to season it?
Yes. Yeah, I like to use Meat Church seasoning. It's been my favorite for years. I use it for all my briskets, the chicken. They have different kinds. They got Holy Cow, they got Holy Gospel, they got an all-purpose. They have this one Voodoo that I put on pretty much everything. They got Honey Hog Hot, Honey Hog. Well, they have their staples, but then they periodically come out with new seasoning. But check them out. We're not sponsored. I love them. I wear their hats. I buy their seasoning. I put it pretty much on everything. For tri-tip, I season it pretty similar to the way I do the brisket, where it's an 80-20 blend of Holy Cow and then Holy Gospel. But with tri-tip, because I like a little extra punch, I add Voodoo on top of that also. So they're not overly salty, but just bear in mind that there is some salt in there. So kind of gauge how much seasoning you want to put on. But I sprinkle very liberally, and I try and coat it on to kind of give it a good bark. We'll start with the Holy Cow, which is pretty pepper forward, which I prefer.
I think we both enjoy pepper.
Yeah. So actually I go a little bit higher. You get a little bit more of an even coat if the higher you go. If you go too close, you're kind of just clumping it up. So you kind of want to back it off. I do brisket, I usually do the fat side up. Tri-tip with the fat side down. And we start with the Holy Cow, later on the Holy Gospel, and then finish it with the Voodoo. Then we'll flip it over to the side that's going to be up and then do the same thing. And then don't forget to get the edges. And with the Holy Gospel, it has some of the similar flavors as the Holy Cow, but then it does kick in a little bit of the all-purpose, which has a little bit more of garlic and salt presence.
All right, time for the voodoo.
And then the voodoo is the special ingredient, so you hit that.
We really do put this on everything.
Perfect. Oh, that's good.
All right.
Give it a little pat. Boom, boom. Lock in the flavor. Just set it aside till it gets to room temperature. So, like I said, I typically do these overnight and I dry brine them. We're doing it now. I'm gonna let it get up to room temperature and then get it onto the smoker.
You want to get your smoker heated up to 225, and then you're going to put your meat on for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. You want the temperature to be about 130, and then we're going to crank up the heat on the smoker to 450 and sear both sides of your tri-tip for 5 minutes each. And we're using a Traeger 575 Pro. It's a pellet smoker, if you're not familiar with what a Traeger is. I would recommend getting this for your father for Father's Day. It makes really good brisket, meat, any kind of meat comes out really great on here. Chicken. Then we're gonna put in a thermometer and set it for 130, so it'll let us know when we get up to temp. Now we're gonna make our pasta salad. It's a super simple recipe, not a lot of ingredients. You wanna get some penne noodles or something similar shape to that. Arugula, red onion, cherry tomatoes, feta, and Olive Garden Italian salad dressing. And then you'll just chop up your tomatoes and your onion, throw in a couple handfuls of feta and the arugula, mix it all together, hit it with the Italian dressing to your liking, and mix it all together. Stick it in the fridge for maybe like an hour just to let all those flavors meld together, and then you're ready to go. Now we're gonna start cooking the cauliflower mac and cheese. If you're doing a keto diet or you just wanna be a little bit healthier, this is a better option for mac and cheese. So you're gonna need 1 head of cauliflower, a cup and a half of heavy cream, a cup of cheddar cheese, a cup of mozzarella cheese, half a cup of Parmesan cheese, and half a block of cream cheese. And basically you're just going to chop up your cauliflower. You can either boil it for a few minutes just to get it soft, or you can roast it. I'm gonna roast mine because it gives it just a little bit more flavor. And then while that's roasting, you can go ahead and mix up your cheese sauce. So you'll mix the heavy cream and the cream cheese, whisk that together till it's melted, and then add in your other 3 cheeses, mix that all up, get it melted, and then pour it over your cauliflower, and then you can stick that in the oven for about 10 to 15 minutes just to get it kind of bubbly and crispy. And then you're ready to eat. We pulled the meat and turned the temperature up on the Traeger to 450. We're almost at temp, so we're gonna set our timer for 5 minutes. It's usually about 6 minutes by the time you get it off the grill, but we're gonna reverse sear both sides of the meat for 5 minutes. That should get us to about medium rare to medium. We pulled the meat off the Traeger, and now we're gonna let it rest about 15 to 20 minutes before we cut into it. Okay, the meat, we let the meat rest, and now we're gonna slice it up and get to eating.
I'm super excited to try Terry's first tri-tip. But first, let's start with the sides.
All right, which one are you gonna try first?
Cauliflower always.
You love cauliflower.
It's creamy, tender, a little crispy on the edges, super cheesy. All right, I guess for a keto option, that's pretty good.
Yep, super easy to make. Doesn't take very long.
All right, and this super easy pasta salad. It's good for summertime. You can make it in bulk.
It's a nice change from your typical like mayonnaise-based salads that you would have on a barbecue.
Oh yeah, and it contrasts the creamy cauliflower really well.
Let's try this meat, huh?
What we've all been waiting for. Tender, crispy on the outside, great flavor, right? Not too fatty. The best part of it, it only took us 2 hours start to finish. It's an awesome alternative. I mean, it is a little bit more pricey than brisket, where you can find brisket for maybe $3 or $4 a pound. This is going to be about $7.99 a pound, so it's more expensive. But you also don't need to get, a 10, 12, 14 pound piece of meat. You can do 3 pounds, 2 pounds, or even like a couple. If you need more, 2-3 pounders.
Yep, really good flavor.
Oh yeah.
Meat church spices. That's where it's at.
And that voodoo just gives it a little kick. Nothing too spicy, but just a nice little kick. Really good job. It was awesome. We'll leave the recipes and the instructions down in the description, and then I'll leave a link to Meat Church in case you're interested in using the spices that we use.
Or you can find Meat Church online at their website, or you can also find it in some stores. We find it at Ace Hardware locally.
And then some sporting goods stores also carry it too. But it's growing in popularity and distribution starting to grow too. So keep a lookout for Meat Church. It's pretty awesome stuff.
They got cool hats too.
All right, I think this was a success, and we got to get ready for a huge surprise birthday party that you guys are going to be able to watch in an upcoming episode. So thanks again for following along. Join us next time when we do something else new for the first time.
And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help us out. First timers.
High five.